Welcome and thank you for clicking on this video. We're going to be speaking about the influence of Madai, son of Japheth, on the Israelite identity. And I want to say right at the start that this video is going to be quite speculative. So bear that in mind if you maybe just were interested on the video title and clicked on this video. We're going to read from the book of Jubilees. That's the source that we are working from. And in the 30th Jubilee, in the second week, in the first year thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Melka, the daughter of Madai, the son of Japheth. And in the 4th year he begat a son, and called his name Selah. Now this is speaking about Canaan taking to himself a wife. We did a video about this. Is there a Canaan, in the family of Arphaxad? And it's inside this playlist, Holy Land and Israelite Identity, if you'd like to watch that video. Just for those that are new to the genealogy, Arphaxad is a son of Shem, and the Israelites descend from Arphaxad, if you are new to the genealogy. Now, there's more information that the book of Jubilees gives us about Madai that's important for this video. Let's read this as well. This is a different chapter. And Japheth and his sons went toward the sea, and dwelt in the land of their portion. And Madai saw the land of the sea, and it did not please him. And he begged a portion from Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, his wife's brother. And he dwelt in the land of Media, near to his wife's brother until this day. And he called his dwelling place, and the dwelling place of his sons, Media, after the name of their father Madai. Very interesting, this information that we get from the book of Jubilees. And we're going to see why this is important later in the video. This is now when we start to get into that speculation that we mentioned at the start. Because we're thinking about the DNA of Japheth now in the family of Arphaxad, because of what we're learning from the book of Jubilees with Madai. So how is it relevant to us today? If we can find a people today that are connected with Madai, that could help with our understanding. So we're going to read from creationwiki.org, the entry for Madai. It says, the Kurdish people still maintain traditions of descent from Madai. Madai is also the name of the deified ancestor of the Kachin or the Yingpo people, according to the indigenous Kachin religion. The Kachin are a people of Myanmar, Burma, and neighboring areas speaking a Sino-Tibetan language. Let's first think about the Kachin people of Myanmar, and we'll just first check the geography, because this might be a new country to most of us. Myanmar. So we've got China to the east and India to the west. Let's think about the Kachin people. If I just go to the top, I'd like to just look at the appearance of some of the people. Does this make sense for Japheth? Because we're thinking about, could they be descended from Madai? And I've got the highlight here to show us where it actually speaks about Madai. Let's read this one. Yingpo folk religion worships various gods as well as the spirits of their ancestors. The ancestor of all the Jingpo, who is worshipped as a spirit or god, is held to be named Madai. So very interesting. Is that the same name as the Madai of the Bible? So a very interesting connection for potential descendants of Madai. Now we're going to move on to think about the Kurds. There have been Kurdish scholars that make this connection of the Kurdish people with Madai, son of Japheth. Let's think now about the Kurds. This is the flag of the Kurds, the flag of Kurdistan, and this means land of the Kurds. And we have an estimate of between 36 to 45 million Kurds in the world, 2017 estimate. If we look at the geography for Kurdistan, we see some of the neighboring countries like Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria. But this is not a state. Let's read about this. Kurds do not comprise a majority in any country, making them a stateless people. After World War I and the defeat of the Ottoman Empire, the victorious Western Allies made provision for a Kurdish state in the 1920 Treaty of Sevres, if that's how you say that. But ultimately, there wouldn't be a state formed for the Kurds. And if we go to a picture to see some pilgrims, Kurdish people, and we can ask that question again, does this make sense for Japheth? But the interesting thing for this video is, what about Saladin? So I wasn't aware that Saladin hailed from Kurdish family. He was the first sultan of both Egypt and Syria. And the date we have is 1137 AD to 1193 AD for the life of Saladin. An important figure of the Third Crusade, he spearheaded the Muslim military effort against the Crusader states in the Levant. So a very famous general and sultan, Saladin. Could he be a descendant of Madai, son of Japheth? And if we look at these coins, some very interesting depictions of Saladin. So this one's very interesting. And we go to another one. Just something that stood out to me for these coins for Saladin are these lips. So we'll see why that's quite interesting as we go forward in the video. Let's come back to this graphic. We have looked at two examples of peoples that we can see today who have been linked to Madai, son of Japheth. And when we spoke about the Kurds, we read about the Kurds being descendant of the Medes. We didn't actually explain this connection. In the work of Josephus, Josephus connects Madai with the Medes. So this is the connection to a group of people that formed a famous empire. We call it the Medo-Persian Empire, but the Medes were the dominant party initially, and then the Persians took over as becoming the most powerful tribe. But the Medes still fought alongside the Persians. And what I'd like to do is now think about some of the depictions we have of the Medes. So this soldier at the rear, or to let's say behind this one, they say this could be a soldier of the Medes. So a Median soldier. So that's very interesting. And we're told that this could also be a depiction of a Mede. So now we're actually going back to think about the actual Medes themselves. What did they look like according to the monuments or the graphics that we can see in front of us? This one's a very interesting one because this depiction of a Mede, or a Median person, I just thought it was very interesting with the lips again. I said we're going to come back to this. If we notice this man with his lips, and then go back to Saladin, just very interesting. Is that a potential characteristic for the Medes? So just thought that was interesting. What do you think about the potential for Saladin and the Kurds being descendant of the Medes? And if we just read something about the Persians, because I wanted to show you this connection, how the Book of Jubilees really does seem to hold up, and it's very interesting information that we can learn from the Book of Jubilees. So it says, after Cyrus's victory against Astyages, and this is Cyrus the Great, the Medes were subjected to their close kin, the Persians. So the Persians are close kin to the Medes, and we can see this now, how it makes sense, because if we go back to the work of Josephus, I just want to go to the part that I've highlighted. Josephus says, for Elam left behind him the Elamites, the ancestor of the Persians. So if the Persians come from Elam, and we think about the chapter where it speaks about Madai begging for a portion from Elam and Ashur and Arphaxad, we can see why there is this close kinship between the Medes and the Persians, because it's saying that Madai came to live with the descendants of Shem, with the Elamites. So that just shows how the Book of Jubilees does hold up, which is important because we are using it quite a lot with our recent videos. In our previous video, we used this map of the haplogroups, and this is about DNA. If you're new to the haplogroups, the Y haplogroups, which is tracing the paternal line. And we spoke about the Hamitic family group, Cushitic, Egyptian, Berber, and that these colors really show the territory of Ham very well. But then what about the region or the haplogroups below the line of the Hamites? And the theory we're putting forward on this channel is, are the descendants of Shem to be found below the Hamites? And people are starting to ask questions. Let's read this question. This is quite interesting. Why do the Israeli carry different Y DNA haplogroups? A, E, G, I, J, N, R, T, if they all descended from one father? So very good question. If it's one father, we could say Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. Shouldn't there just be one haplogroup for the Israelites? Is it important that we actually see this word Israeli? So that's something to think about. So we are going to think about haplogroups, even though I'm not an expert on haplogroups, but could it point us to the truth? To think about the Israelite identity? And what about haplogroup DE? So hopefully we get a chance to speak about this. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully we get to see you in the next one as well.